But Will still, he did come from Dallas, and albeit he crushed us the times that he played us, when it comes to somebody tough, and we talked about this when he was just one of the names on the list, when it comes to these tougher teams or the clutch moments, he's not getting it. What's the difference between him as the DC or between him as coach in the past? What's different now?
Well, I think you had a chance to learn a little bit, and I think this also shows how he got the job. We had heard after his first interview that he very much impressed, and that he was, while everyone thought Ben Johnson was the leading candidate, they also said, do not forget about Dan Quinn. He is way up there. And I think he impressed with his leadership and his experience. And the fact that in his press conference, he talked about how when he was removed from Atlanta, he had an outside company come in and consult and talk to him about, this is what went right, this is what you did wrong, so he could kind of learn, when I have that next shot, I can do better. Because let's think about it. I mean, he took a team to the Super Bowl. All right. Like, that's not a bad first run, as a head coach. You could say the same thing about Ron Rivera. Yes, you can. But he had some success in Atlanta. I think when Kyle Shanahan left and Matt LaFleur left, that hurt the offense. And then they got some, I think his voice ran hollow in Atlanta by the time the pandemic happened and he was let go. But I think he impressed them by saying he knows how to lead, and not just defense, but lead anybody. I believe that people called them saying, Dan Quinn is a great coach. Dan Quinn is a great leader. This is a guy you want on your organization. I believe when people like Logan Paulson, who's a Redskin media guy, says, I loved playing under this guy. He had us all together. And then I think the big part about it is his ability to build a staff. We're going to get to some of the names he's compiled, but he did it in Atlanta too. He's the one who had Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, Raheem Morris, Mike McDaniel. He had all those guys with him in Atlanta too. He's been around the league. He knows people. He knows how to build the staff. He's doing it here. And I just felt during his press conferences, there are times where, like, he's not the CEO stand up there and sound good the way Ron sometimes could. But when you heard him talk ball, that's when I got excited. When he talked about, listen, we're going to be where our feet are. Listen, when I've got a defensive player, I want to make sure, what does that guy do well? And I need to exploit that. I was just like, thank you. Finally. Somebody who recognizes, like, it's not my square peg. And where's you're the round hole. We're not going to fit together. Like, he was like, I'm going to make this work. When he started talking coach speak in that press conference, that's when he got me fired up. When he was being CEO, I'm like, he's not the best CEO communicator, but in those interviews, he started talking about what he would do with the franchise and the defense and it got them excited.
Oh, absolutely. And hey, look, I fell in that kind of, that, I don't want to call it a trap, but I fell in that trap, that motivation, that pump, like him talking about the guys and him talking about, Adam Peters and how we came together. But I think it's what you said that was the biggest thing for me, is that he did go back and look at what worked and what didn't work. And he looked at each of his destinations. I mean, obviously the Falcons, we know about that, but even when he moved on from Atlanta, even when he was at Dallas, his time there, he learned what worked. And one of the things that you talk about, Logan Paulson, that I love, those relationships, with him building those relationships, the things that we liked from Ron, his guys were his guys, everything. We're seeing that now. Dan Quinn's guys, they follow him. I mean, we'll see that in the coaching staff, but also it's just, he brings a little bit more credibility, in my opinion. And it's just, I think it's that time. It's right for it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is.